Elsie was pale, except for her cheeks, which were rosy red. Her colouring made her eyes look darker, almost stormy. Her hair had come loose from her bun and made a wispy halo around her head. "What is it, Elsie?" Her eyes were wide, much like my sister's had been at death. Something had frightened her. Perhaps it had been me. "The well's gone dry," she said, her voice hoarse. She licked her cracked lips. "What am I supposed to do about it?" I asked, though the words carved out a deep sense of dread in the bottom of my stomach. She paused for a moment, and then said quietly, "It's your turn, Gesela." I heard the words but ignored them, bending to pick up my axe. I knew what she meant without explanation. It was my turn to bear the consequences of the curse on our village, Elk. Since I was a child, Elk had been under a curse of curses. No one agreed on how or why the curse began. Some blamed a merchant who broke his promise to a witch. Some said it was a tailor. Others said it was a maiden, and a few blamed the fae and a bargain gone wrong. Whatever the cause, a villager of Elk was always chosen to end each curse, some as simple as a case of painful boils, others as devastating as a harvest destroyed by locust. It was said to be a random selection, but everyone knew better. The mayor of Elk used the curses to rid his town of those he did not deem worthy, because, in the end, no villager could break a curse without a consequence. Like my sister. I brought my axe down, splitting the wood so hard the blade cracked the log beneath. "I do not use the well," I said. "I have my own." "It cannot be helped, Gesela," Elsie said. "But it is not fair," I said, looking at her. Her eyes darted to the right. I froze and turned to see that the villagers of Elk had gathered behind me like a row of pale ghosts, save Sheriff Roland, who was at their head. He wore a fine uniform, blue like the spring sky, and his hair was golden like the sun, curling like wild vines. The women of Elk called him handsome. They liked his dimpled smile and that he had teeth. "Gesela," he said as he approached, "the well's gone dry." "I do not use the well," I repeated. His expression was passive as he responded, "It cannot be helped." My throat was parched. I was well aware of how Elsie and Roland had positioned themselves around me. Elsie to my back, Roland angled in front. There was no escape. Even if I had wanted, the only refuge was the forest behind me, and to race beneath its eaves was to embrace death with open arms. I should want to die, I thought. It was not as if I had anything left, and yet I did not wish to give the forest the satisfaction of my bones. I gathered my apron into my hands to dry my sweaty palms as Roland stepped aside, holding my gaze. Elsie's hand pressed into the small of my back. I hated the touch, and I moved to escape it. Once I had passed Roland, he and Elsie fell into step behind me, herding me toward the villagers, who were as still as a fence row. I knew them all, and their secrets, but I had never told them because they also knew mine. No one spoke, but as I drew near, the people of Elk moved, some ahead, some beside, some behind, caging me. Roland and Elsie remained close. My heart felt as though it were beating in my entire body. I thought of the other curses that had been broken. They were all so different. One villager had wandered through the enchanted forest and picked a flower from the garden of a witch. She cursed him to become a bear. In despair, he returned to Elk and was shot with an arrow through the eye.